Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the webinar for today. And a great joy to be joined by Lily, Aimee, and Charlotte for the first session. All three of you are involved in organisations that had to change plans last year, very quickly change plans, because you all had major events planned. Obviously, we know that. But if I can come to Charlotte first of all, Charlotte, LightNight is something that we all in the city love. We're all used to the hustle and bustle. We know last year was particularly difficult for you and trying to move quickly to an online event. LightNight is now planned for the 21st of May. We're looking forward to it, but it will be different this year. How different will it be?
Well, hello, Bill, and hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. It'll be different in the fact that we're classing it as a hybrid. So as we're still in our cautious return to everything reopening, but we hope it's a real celebration and a reminder that we didn't really go away. You know, it's a big celebration and a big moment of the reopening of our cultural venues. But the difference is, when I say hybrid version, we've still got a strong online offer as well as some in real life events, encouraging audiences to be able to enjoy our creative city from the safety of their own home, or in some of our venues that are opening for the night. And we've got the likes of 70 events across 28 venues. I mean, normally with LightNight it's 120 plus events across 40 plus venues. So it is still, not quite to the scale of what we would normally have. And we've got some outdoor performances and walks, but we've got a strong offer of 30 online events for people who, aren't quite ready to return to the city centre and want to, view things from at home, or those international audiences that want to enjoy what we've got in our city, they can do that as well. Our full lineup is going to be released on the 5th of May, so this coming Wednesday, when people will be able to see what we've got in store for you. So, yeah.
Good. And of course, the 5th of May is also the day when your crowdfunder ends.
Yes, it does.
Most people would think LightNight is funded by, big organisations, but it's not, isn't it? I mean, it's very much you and Christina and the rest of the team getting out, getting sponsorships, but also getting individuals to support you.
No, exactly that. Open Culture is a community interest company. We're unfunded, and we're a little organisation, and effectively LightNight's like a giant community arts festival where we literally bring all of the partners together to deliver this huge offer and throw this giant spotlight on our creative community, from the very large, like the Biennial with Lily here, Tate, National Museums, to the very small single artists working with the Bombed Out Church and in some of our studio spaces. I don't want to give too much away, obviously, but so we have our crowdfunder, which is helping, because we normally have a printed festival guide that we sell, and audiences buy that, and that supports us and the festival and the artists that deliver it. So we've had to launch a crowdfunder to replace that, because we couldn't do the printed festival guide for a variety of reasons. So we're keen for people to support us. So I'll share the link in. Oh, it's there, Alvaro. Thank you, in the chat for everybody. Yes, we've got till I think we're on 81% now, so not far to go until we make our £3,500. If we go over that, it will still be spent very wisely and will be shared with lots of arts organisations and artists once we make the £3,500. So please, anything from a £5 gets your name on the website. So please help us out.
Yeah, I know that like all organisations, you're very protective of any releases, so nobody knows what's happening yet, but there are some highlights which we're all looking forward to. Obviously we will wait with anticipation when that releases, but what's the one thing that you would want to tell people if they want to come out to LightNight?
Oh, that question as well. Well, yes, particularly this year, we'd be keen for people to plan ahead. Please take notice of the programme and think ahead, because there is still a difference, and we still want people to be cautious. And a majority of the events are ticketed, So we do encourage people to plan, book those tickets. You can still book tickets outside the venues, but there will be limited amount, and certain venues will allow walk up on the night. But it just helps if you've got your night considered, you know, and we've got an incredible offer, you know, working with the likes of the Biennial, which we've already shared, you know, which is an online offer for the night, working with metal artists across the country. So, you know, and here in Liverpool. So please, you know, get involved.
And as in previous years, you're working with the Liverpool BID Company through both commercial and retail and leisure. So I know that there's something to look out for in retail and leisure very much. Absolutely.
There's a great fun activity that we've been partnering with BID and Lush and Hometopia, which will be taking place between 5 and 9 outside the front of Lush, and just an incredible, fun, joyous experience that's going to be, with lots of singing and dancing. So do come along for the drag cabaret.
Well, you've told everyone now.
No, that one's been announced, so I'll allow that one out. So we've said that one. But and for those who don't want to come into the city centre, we'll be sharing a video of that from 8 o'clock on the night, so that you can still experience it and not miss out. And that's what we're doing very cautiously this year, is ensuring that we've got this strong online as well as the in real life, so people feel safe to return.
And the good thing is, of course, the government were listening to us for our pleas for light now, because step 3, hopefully, and it looks, we'll get an announcement, won't we, a week on Monday, but step 3 looks as if it's going to happen on May the 17th. We know that the figures, the data, as Boris talked about, is all looking good for the city region and hopefully for the country. So that will mean that for Light Night, we'll actually be able to go indoors into venues and in restaurants and bars. So it will make it a great opportunity. So actually, if you are thinking about planning what you're going to do with Light Night, also pre-book trying to get into a restaurant, because they will be very busy if you want to go and do that and couple it with food as well. So that'll be, we'll look forward to that. I'll come back to you in a few moments, Charlotte, as we start to discuss and open this conversation. But Aimee, if I can come to you from the Good Business Festival, TGBF, as is it's known, is it? That's the shortened version of it. We had yesterday, of course, it'd be great to hear now that Act 2 is launched for July, but yesterday, one of the pilot events was actually people coming back into the ACC in a controlled manner. But actually, once inside, it was very strange. I know I was fortunate enough to attend yesterday. It was very strange to be sitting next to people and actually be able to talking to people and shaking hands. And there were other things going on inside there. But it was great to be able to do that. You know, just have a drink and a home-baked pie. How did that go yesterday? I mean, what did it mean for the Good Business Festival to be able to open the doors yesterday?
It went really well, and I know a lot of the people here were there yesterday, and thanks very much for coming along. I seen it described on LinkedIn this morning that I would be fresh from the pilot today. I'm not sure fresh is an appropriate description. I've definitely lost that muscle memory of doing 30,000 steps on an event day, so I'm absolutely exhausted today. But it was great. It was absolutely brilliant. It was as much scientific experiment in terms of looking at how people moved, air circulation, and of course all the tests that people were having to go through are looking at how, you know, how live events affect transmission, and we'll get all the learning from that in a few weeks' time. But from a behavioural perspective, it was absolutely fascinating to see how, when people walked in and were met and we explained, you can take your mask off, you can socially distance, that first period of networking, people were still very cautious. Everybody did a little bit of a dance with each other when they first met, or were shaking hands or were not shaking hands, because you don't know how people are going to react. And that was always a big deal for us, it was a real unknown how people would behave. When we went into the session, people were relatively happy to sit beside each other. We'd specifically created, you know, a big space that people could spread out if they wanted to. But we were surprised at how many people did kind of cram in and were happy to sit close to each other. By the time we came back out to the networking afterwards, everyone had relaxed, people were hugging, everybody was standing a lot closer to each other. I'm not sure the glass of wine or two helped with that, but the feedback has absolutely been fantastic from everyone. The fact that this was the first taster of going back to what we're all used to and going back to what, you know, us as an event city are good at. And that experience of bringing people together again has been great. Yeah, definitely.
And it was good. And I know there were criticisms, and the still criticisms about the pilot events. And we spoke about the pilot event at our previous webinar, but actually it wasn't too obtrusive, was it, for those of us who attended? We went for lateral flow test, but because of the technology was able to connect directly to the tickets, we didn't have to show that again. And it was quite a smooth process getting in. So let's hope that those pilot events this weekend, obviously nightclub and festival this weekend, and those other pilots across the country really do drive the scientific data that will allow us to fully open up when we come back to step 4 in June, and hopefully the Good Business Festival Act 2. Now tickets are registered. I believe I was the fourth to purchase a ticket today, so I look forward to that. 7th, 8th and 9th. What does it mean for the city to have it? It's an international business festival. What will it mean, and what will people be expecting to find there?
We've always said at its heart, the Good Business Festival is a showcase opportunity for the city region. It's an opportunity for us to show the world what we as a city region are good at and what we're capable of, our businesses, our communities, and our personality as well. I say that not being from Liverpool, but I've spent more time here now than I did back in Ireland. So I'm a total adopted Scouser at this stage. When we come back on the 7th, 8th of July, we're going full city region wide. We've got a multitude of venues across the city centre, starting with our hub at St Luke's Church, and we've got the Baltic Zone with the venue Content is our kind of core hub in the Baltic Zone, but we'll spread out into a few others. And then the Hope Zone, which I think is very fitting for the Good Business Festival, with the Everyman, of course, as our hub in the Hope Zone, with a few others there too. I think yesterday was a really good taster of what the different elements of the Good Business Festival are. It's more than just a conference. We're going to, of course, bring those sessions with the big thinking, the inspirational, global thought leaders, but we need to bring that practical good thinking element to it as well for all the businesses in the city region who are on that journey to becoming a good or a sustainable or an ethical business. We need to help them do that. Sometimes it's not easy, so there has to be practical elements to it. I think the comedy show last night showcased our social programme, and we're looking forward to working with all the fantastic hospitality and the arts and culture sectors in this city to bring and put that together. And then our fantastic Youthquake programme with Regenda, which the two fantastic girls spoke about on the stage yesterday, and our youth summit at Knowsley Safari Park. We're really conscious that the festival can't just pop up for a couple of days in July and then disappear for a year or two. We have to start putting in place legacy, and for us that legacy is the youth element if we want to move forward as a region that's known for doing good business.
In terms of people getting access to tickets, it's up already, launched. Pricing is based on donations to charities for the city region, is that right?
It is. It's a free ticket. We're acutely aware that the value of what we're bringing is fairly substantial, but for the city region and given the year that everyone's had to go through, we're offering all the tickets are all free, but we are requesting a nominal donation to the LCR Cares Foundation, which was set up by Steve Rotherham to support businesses and communities affected by the pandemic.
And so what do you say to anybody this far out from July? Well, actually, it's not that far. It moves very quickly. If you think about it, we're actually, is it 7 weeks away on Monday from step 4 and reopening in mid-June? So
it is, and then we're
quickly.
we're a few weeks after that. We're very, very close to the line with the 21st of June. We are working on the basis that fingers crossed, if everything goes well, it will all open as normal, and it will be as close to being back to normal as possible. We are staging the ticket release in kind of cautious measure. So we've done the first wave to everyone signed up to our database yesterday, but we're hopeful that we'll be able to welcome a few thousand in July, definitely.
So anybody listening to our webinar today, what would you say to them? I know for me, listening to what you've just said, it's about clearing the diary, isn't it, for 3 days in July? Well, I don't know about you, but I mean, I'm clearing the diary from the 21st of June right through. So I won't be going home for a month. I'll be going out to every bar and restaurant I can do. But very much clearing the day, isn't it, for those 3 days, and really immersing yourself in the Good Business Festival.
It absolutely is. Our tickets are, you can come on Wednesday, Thursday or Friday, or you can get a festival pass that gives you access across the whole thing. We will start with social activities, kind of from about 7 or 8 in the morning, with our core content program in the venues between about 10 and 5, and then, you know, some fun evening activities as well. People can drop in and out as they want. As I say, we're hoping that it'll be as simple as everybody can go wherever they want. We're in the background putting in place some measures should we have to restrict access or kind of keep bubbles in place. We're hopeful that'll not happen, but we have to plan for every eventuality. But yeah, clear your 3 days, 7th, 8th and 9th of July.
Well, I've certainly done mine. So thanks for that, Aimee. And Lily, if I can come to you as Programme Manager for this, for the Liverpool Biennial. The Stomach and the Port. Great title, isn't it? The Stomach and the Port. And actually, when you think about what things come into the port and travel around and then go out from the port, and obviously it's the same with the stomach, isn't it? So what's happening with the biennial? We've seen some strange things in the city centre. What will we see with the biennial? Just really tell us what is the biennial actually?
Yeah, thanks, Bill. Thank you so much for having me. And, you know, thanks to Charlotte and Aimee as well. It's amazing to hear about all the different exciting things that are happening outside of our little bubble of the biennial that we're obviously working full speed ahead to kind of deliver. So yes, the festival, it runs every 2 years. We've been running in the city for nearly 20 years now. It's our 11th edition this time. As you quite rightly said, Bill, it's called the Stomach and the Port. So this one, we're an international arts festival basically. So we work with partners across the city. We always have partner venues. So we work with existing organisations in the city such as Tate, the Blue Coat, FACT, Open Eye, National Museums, Liverpool. But we also take over found buildings, so kind of empty buildings in the city. And we also work a lot in kind of public space in the public realm. So as Bill quite rightly said, this year we've had to do it in chapters, obviously because of COVID. We were hoping to do the festival last year. It was originally scheduled for autumn last year. Obviously we had to postpone due to the pandemic. But we have been really, the team are amazing and our partners have been so supportive that we've been able to kind of flex and change and be responsive, which is really exciting. So we've got different chapters this year. So we're kind of going for a staggered opening approach and a bit of a staggered closing as well in kind of response to, the moving goalposts. So we've opened our first chapter, which opened on the 20th of March, which is our outdoor and online chapter. So similarly to Light Night, we've gone for a bit of a hybrid approach this time around. So there's outdoor artworks. So there's 6 new commissions that are outdoors, one of which is an Exchange Flags, which some of you hopefully might have seen. It's this amazing installation by Teresa Solar, which is these massive kind of 5-meter long kayak bones. And she's made that piece specifically for that site, in response to that site and the history of that site, the history of Liverpool. So that's really exciting. That's supported by the BID as well, who, always support us in everything that we do. There's a number of other public works that you can go and see now in a kind of safe, socially distanced way. There's flags, there's sculptures, there's murals, there's a little trail that you can follow and see them all kind of, within a morning or on your lunch break. Please do go and see them. And alongside that, the whole festival is underpinned by this online portal. So this year we've built an entire kind of new website that's an enhanced online offer, so that people can engage with the festival from home, but also from afar, because usually, we have a lot of people coming to the city to see the festival. We work with artists all over the world and collaborators and partners all over the world as well. So we usually have quite a lot of people coming from overseas, a lot of people coming from other cities in the UK to Liverpool. We hope there'll still be a bit of that if it's safe to do so. But we're kind of, we hope to be relevant and well loved by the people of Liverpool as well. We work with a lot of local artists and partners and community organisations that exist here. So the online portal is open now as well. So that's Liverpool Biennial 2021. You can go on there. There's new commissions, there's podcasts, there's information on all of the 50 artists that we've got for this edition. And as Bill said, we're hoping and working towards that week of the 19th of May as the opening of the indoor exhibition. So that will be 9 venues across the city, 150 artworks, 50 artists from 30 countries. It's all free. And you can kind of, similarly to LightNight, you can book online now. So you can book your timed ticket just to help with kind of COVID and social distancing, but there will be walk-ups available as well at kind of some of the venues if you wanted to come on your lunch break or take your chances.
So I've noticed quite a few of these installations popping up across the city. Obviously, Theresa Solar and Exchange Flags, fabulous to look at. But it's also about those installations being part of the fabric of the city, isn't it? Because I know that from previous biennials that there are still artworks left in the city for people to go and look. So this is about legacy, isn't it? Particularly thinking about the hummingbird clock in Derby Square that's been in place now since 2016. So the biennial is very much part of the fabric of the city. But I suppose it's true to say that we're unique as a city in the UK with the biennial. Are there any other biennials in the UK?
I'm not sure if there's any other biennials. There's other kind of contemporary art festivals. So the other one outside of us is probably Glasgow International, but obviously that's kind of more Scotland based. I mean, there's hundreds of fantastic arts festivals and many of whom we partner with. But you're right, Bill, in that a lot of what we do outside of the festival program itself, or as a legacy of the festival, is create or commission new artworks for Liverpool, for the city itself, that then stay in situ. So you've got Lawrence Abdul-Haman's hummingbird clock. Obviously he then went on to be part of the Turner Prize, I think the following year, which is really exciting. We've got Uno's Liverpool Mountain outside of the Tate. We've got the Anthony Gormley sculptures on Crosby Beach that you'll all have seen and loved. So you can kind of look back. I grew up in the city and then moved away, and I've moved back recently for the role. But I grew up kind of seeing all of the Liverpool Biennial projects that had just become part of our fabric of our city and our daily lives, and kind of just add to the cultural offer that we have, really.
Yeah. And we take it for granted, don't we, that this international event is happening. Just in bringing this first part of our webinar to a close, just saying, for me, speaking to all three of you, it's about, that buzz about the city coming back to life is really there, isn't it? I talked about taking a few days off for the festival in July. I'll be taking a couple of months off, I know that. So thanks, Alvaro. You can look after the place because I'm going out to party once we get going. But the questions and answers are on to use. So there was one specific question was directed to you, Charlotte, about your other incredible event that you have, which is the Arts Festival, Summer Arts tickets. When are they available?
Hello, Summer Arts Market Liverpool Cathedral are, thanks for asking on that, tickets are now on sale. I've dropped that into the Q&A, if people just search on summerartsmarket.com or just search Summer Arts Market, you'll find it. taking place on the 5th and 19th of June at Liverpool Cathedral. Not quite the mega event with 200 artists in one place, because obviously still levels of caution, but there'll be over 60 artists at each venue, so each date. So, you know, lots and lots, thousands of gifts still to be able to buy. So please do come along and purchase your ticket.
Thank you. So thank you, Aimee, Charlotte, and Lily. Please do keep your questions coming in. Please do use the chat function. And if I could pass across to Chris for the second portion of our webinar this afternoon. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Bill. That was great stuff to hear, and makes us long, I think, for the return and the continuation of our events program, so vital to the energy and vibrancy and excitement of the city. So I think just moving into this section, I think this is kind of hopefully continues the build up of excitement of things coming back into the city that we all love and what make the city so special. So delighted that we've got representatives here from the hoteliers, from the theatres, and from attractions, all looking forward, I'm sure, to the 17th of May. So let's just get an initial kind of context for that in terms of where you're all at the moment. So Brian, if I come to yourself, you know, Titanic Hotel been a huge success story for the city. How have you? I mean, I know you've kind of had moments through the lockdowns of opening and then closing again. So what's your current situation, and how are you kind of preparing for the 17th of May?
We thanks, Chris. We chose not to open externally. The footfall down Stanley Dock just doesn't stack up. So we're waiting for the 17th of May. We're ready to go, and we're going to hit the ground running, because the demand is really out there. You can see that in the forward STR. You can see it in the bookings that we've got. We're in really good shape from the 17th. I'm happy that there's no curfew, and I'm happy that there's no substantial meal, so we can actually open our bars, which we never really did through last year. Our main lounge bar stayed closed, and it's been mothballed for over a year. So that's exciting. We're getting that open. We're getting accommodation open, the restaurants open, the spa will open. And we count the days to the 21st of June until we can open up the events business. You know, it's 30% of our business, Titanic, and it's been mothballed, you know.
Yeah, and how's it been in terms of just, you know, obviously the challenge of retaining your core team, retaining that sort of staff that you'd built up and the expertise you'd built up to run the hotel. In terms of how is that developed for you, Brian, in terms of being able to retain those and get them geared up and ready to go again?
It's an interesting one, Chris, an interesting question. The follow obviously was a massive help. Without follow, we couldn't have done it. And that's really helped us. So we've basically followed everyone, and some you do lose. So naturally we lost some over summer and autumn. So we've got a big recruitment drive on at the moment, just getting the team up to speed, up to numbers, and then getting them inducted starting from this week. There's training going on, there's open days, and you know, we've been in communication with the team right through, so they know when they're due back. But to be honest, my full reservations team have been there pretty much all the way through, just with the level of emails and requests coming in, because they don't stop. You still got to run that business. So there's been a little core team left, you know, in the hotel right through, and then the rest on follow. We just couldn't have survived without that.
Yeah, and in terms of that demand that you're experiencing, it's brilliant to hear that you've got that they're already on the books. You've got a lot of stuff already coming in. Where's it coming from, Brian? I mean, is it you know, kind of widespread across the UK? Where's your demand emanating from?
First of all, for us, the local market never lets us down. Yeah. And as long as we've got the packages out there and they're able to buy them, we do really well locally. And we'll market locally, and because of that. But national, I remember when we were locked down before. When Manchester were locked down before, and the whole of Manchester, I think, came over to Liverpool, didn't they, through December? Yeah. So they come from all over, but obviously the UK inbound and the international stuff won't come for a little while. So So it's all local and national. That's what we're focusing on. That's where the marketing's going.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you were excited by the news of the Everton scheme, and obviously you've got a lot of work going on down there yourselves with the tobacco warehouse, in terms of, the other big building in there. So how do those dynamics fit in with you in terms of the future direction for yourself down there?
It's all going well. I mean, Bramley Moor always does it. We had Peaky Blinders there this last week. They were filming down there, and obviously we've got some TV and that are staying over for the festival this week, or for the whatever we want to call it, the concert this week at Bramley Moor. So that keeps us busy. But obviously Everton we've been speaking to about long-term relationships. So we've got a really good relationship with Everton Football Club and Everton in the community. And the apartments across the road, they reckon the first person will move in probably first week in June. So that's how close they are. And once one person moves in, there's a whole host of services that then have to kick in, even just for that one, that one person, if it comes to it. So they're at a crunch point across in the tobacco warehouse for these apartments, and phase one's well on the way. So it's going well. Activity is really high. There's hundreds over there working on it, Chris, at the moment. Yeah. And we're getting ready to hit the ground running on the 17th. Occupancy is really good. Really pleased.
Oh, that's great, yeah. And I think if I get my 6 numbers up, I think I might be interested in one of those properties. But it would take me to get to that stage to get interested. But I think, Titanic's been at the heart really of that resurgence of the north, and I think with the Bramley Moor and the expansions into the north of the city is going to be great for us. Yeah. So I'll come back to you, Brian, on some other matters we can discuss. Mary, Beatles Story. Now you have had the opportunity to reopen. You have kind of experimented with the local market. We traditionally know you far more as being a massive attractor for the international and European market. We know that's going to be a little bit, delayed as such. So how are your plans going for the 17th, and what are you kind of thinking about for audiences for yourself?
Okay, thanks for inviting me today, Chris. Yeah, for us, it's picking up back open on May the 17th, and some of those operational plans we put in to the Beatles Story at the beginning of the first lockdown really helped us. Online ticketing and time tickets, which we've never done in Beatles Story. So for us, that was a positive. We didn't expect to be a year out and still trying to get back in, but for us, it's getting the team back that week. We're coming back in the week before on the 10th of May. A couple of changes for us, but nothing major operationally, apart from probably some face coverings in there to do with the different rules. And we are taking part in the government's track and trace. The staff can voluntary take part in that. We've got some tests on site to give to the team to do twice weekly. And for us, it's just we're opening 5 days a week, not the full 7. We have made that change, and we'll keep that in place until hopefully the 21st of June, or until that international market comes back for us. Like you say, we're 67% overseas, so we definitely need that market back up and running as quick as possible. We're working with people like UK Inbound, and we've even wrote to the Boris and the government to open that USA link, because for the UK that's the biggest market, and for Beatles Story that's our top international. And hopefully from the 21st of June we can pick up some of those staycations. That's what we're doing, like Brian just said, those national, bringing people to the city from other cities. I know a lot of places like Devon and that are showing huge numbers of visits. So getting people back into the city, our vibrant city and Beatles Story, and get them up and running just until the 21st of June, and hopefully we'll see an increase in our UK numbers.
Yeah, and there's no doubt, going back to the first panel, having great content like LightNight, the Biennial, which are massive drivers for bringing in staycation markets will hopefully, add to that equation positively. But in terms of your, your relationships with those international operators and the kind of ones that you've relied on, how's your level of discussion been with them? What do you see? How do you see the implications of the pandemic affecting the operators who provided a lot of that business for you? Do you get a confident sense from them that, maybe later into 21, 22, that will come back? Any kind of dialogue you've had there that give us an indication of that?
Yeah, we've had some really strong dialogue with our international markets. The pandemic, what they're saying is the vaccine programme that the country has done for them has given a huge benefit to the UK. A lot of people are wanting to come and visit the UK for that reason. The roadmap and that clear messaging of where we're going for people to travel, we're getting huge feedback that the UK is going to see a boom in the market. So for us, hopefully from next April, and for the city and for the wider city region, I think those internationals are looking to come to the UK as a priority. We're being told it's the first destination that internationals are wanting to come to. So I think we need to be on top of that. We need to be, that message needs to be there, that we are open and we are ready. And from the 21st of June, I think we need to push that and understand that and get that international market back. But yeah, very, very positive feedback for us.
Okay, and then your plans for Beatles Story itself, Mary. Where are your what's your kind of thoughts and plans about the development of Beatles Story going forward?
For us, it's like Brian said, we have used the furlough scheme. Our staff members have been on furlough since March last year. We've had some core staff who were, for us, we were in a position where we were really visitor numbers were at the highest, with 320,000 visitors a year. So for us, it's to get back on that road and get those visitors back up and open the operation 7 days a week. And if we need to, we will be open 8 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night if we need to. And we can see that coming in now. We can see the bookings starting to grow in those bookings, and we understand where everyone's coming from, because we do take that data on the door, but also we record that, so we know where our market's coming from. So for us, it's continuing and to digitally engage with those markets and open up those channels and make sure that Liverpool and the wider city region is where it was before the pandemic came into effect. So
yeah, and I think we've clearly seen, I think, since the 12th of April, the huge appetite from what we call the hyper local audience to come back into the city centre. Footfall has been really encouraging. The alfresco dining offer, definitely helped by the weather, has definitely been good. So and you've there's always been probably a challenge for you in terms of the ability for the local audience to enjoy the experience of Beatles Story against that European international audience. So what have you kind of learned through there in terms of the opportunities to work with our local residents, local communities, and get them used to enjoying what the Beatles Story offers?
What we're looking at is for people who are visiting a family within the city. So when that opens up and people are allowed to go and stay in the city and go and visit family, we're hoping to gain some of that market. We also have a really strong educational market, which we're trying to open up and understand how we can engage with them digitally to bring them back into the attraction. We don't want children left in the classrooms learning. We do want them back, and we do want to show the product. So we've got an amazing education officer on board who's going to be working with local people to get that back up and running. And for us, it's that legacy as well for the Beatles and getting that back online.
Yep, brilliant. Okay, I'll come back to you again, Mary, just around some of that, and then but over to yourself, Mark. I mean, as with Beatles Story, every man and Playhouse, really, major pillars of the city's offer. you've had, again, the challenges of being able to get your programming back up and to do that within the constraints of social distancing. So in terms of how you see the picture going forward, one, I'm sure will be delighted to get yourself back up and running again. But how are you looking now at your programming, your content from the 17th of May, and then probably from the 21st of June? Where are you up to in all of that?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And as you'll appreciate, for theatres, there's a long lead-in time. We can't just open and put on work. We've got to be planning it months in advance. And I guess that's been a particular challenge of COVID, as we haven't always known what the environment's going to be like when we're able to reopen. There were some specific advantages of being theatres in Liverpool, because of course we were able to open in December when a lot of theatres couldn't open. So we could test all of our COVID safe measures, we could look at social distancing and get some very valuable data about audiences and their confidence levels for returning. I guess we're all waiting with bated breath on the results of the events research program. So thanks to Aimee and the great team at the Good Business Festival for leading on some of that work and with the events over the weekend. And also it's things like the snooker at the Crucible, because of course that's a big test for theatre to see whether that's going to work. So I think the safest thing for us to do in terms of our planning, like many have said on the panel, was to have a hybrid model. So for us, it's been around digital work. So digital has gone on throughout the pandemic, but also now looking towards outdoor work. So don't worry, Charlotte, I won't announce, but looking at how we can dovetail into LightNight. We've got some other work that's going out at the Bombed Church with our young Everyman Playhouse, and also some really innovative work, a project called Streets Where You Live, which many of you will know Lawrence Westgarth's tour around Liverpool. And this project is animating some of the statues, bringing them to life to help us better understand Liverpool's role in the transatlantic slave trade. So some really interesting and innovative projects emerging out of the pandemic. And then, of course, from 17th of May, we can have indoor but socially distanced work. Now, of course, the socially distanced model will not work for theatres economically. So we've had to be very careful in the sort of work that we're putting on our stages. But still, we're looking at get going with work in between the 17th of May and 21st of June, with a ramping up over time to bigger projects like Love Liverpool at the Playhouse, and of course the return of Our Lady of Blundell Sands at the Everyman in September.
Yeah, and I think from the theatre's perspective, Mark, I think we all recognise, that it's not the huge supply chain that's involved in that, the freelancers and all of those. In terms of a similar question to what I asked to Brian, in terms of one of the challenges in that space, have you been able to retain the access to those skills that haven't been able to be used, and are you confident that they will return back to that type of work, which is so vital to putting on productions that you host?
Yeah, look, that was one of the biggest threats of COVID, is that we would lose our skills base if we couldn't keep staff on and keep them supported. And that not only includes our contracted staff, but our glorious freelance community that we have in Liverpool. If we couldn't keep them supported in some way, they would either leave our sector or they would leave the city. So one of our strategies early on was to make sure that we were looking after as many staff as we could. A lot of people don't know that the theatres in a year will employ up to 240 staff. So we've got 100 contracted staff on a regular basis, but the rest are freelancers. So it's really vital to our model that we still have that community to draw on of their skills and talent. So we've used, as Brian was saying, we've absolutely used the coronavirus job retention scheme through furlough. We've also been really lucky to be supported through the Cultural Recovery Fund. So that was the government's investment in culture, and we've been a beneficiary of that fund. And what that's enabled us to do is keep all of our contracted staff and also keep our casual staff supported. And many of those casual staff members are, of course, freelancers and creative professionals. And I've also tried to target work specifically and making sure that money is flowing through the organisation to the freelance community. So our role in the pandemic has changed slightly. It's not just about putting work out there on the stages. It's far more of the integral role we play in a wider ecology.
Yeah, and just on another area there, Mark, you've been, you've been doing some interesting work there, working with other theatres about kind of new ways of collaborating in terms of getting people to enjoy the theatre offer. So it'd be good to hear a bit about that, and maybe just to lead into the final segment for us, also a little bit about, I think what the pandemic has shown in a certain respect is that we have this very eclectic but very vibrant ecosystem in the city, which relies so heavily on all these all the stakeholders who are on today, all working collectively and together. So I'm just interested in your views on how you're working that at a theatre level, and then what are the kind of areas of collaboration you think we could learn out of COVID that would make the city stronger and help us build back our audiences quicker?
Yeah, it became really apparent at the beginning of the pandemic that we were all experiencing very similar issues. And the major one was around uncertainty. No one could predict the future. And we're all desperately trying to look at ways to navigate the various challenges that COVID presented. So for us, we were already working very closely with the Royal Court and the Unity behind the scenes, I guess. So we're having regular meetings, talking about shared issues. And it just became clearly apparent that it didn't serve any of our purposes to really be in competition, especially with our reopening plans. It made a lot more sense to unify, to reach a combined and much larger audience to get our message across. And ultimately, I think that's transferable. Yes, it applied to us as theatres, and we relaunched our opening seasons together. And that really landed extremely well. And we're looking at things like shared approach to programming, shared approach to outcomes such as young people, community work. It all seems to make a lot more sense. And more importantly, I think it stretches the public subsidy, the level of funding that comes into our organisations, just that bit further when you look at it from the point of view of shared outcomes. And I think that can resonate across lots of different areas. So for example, as Aimee was saying, we're hosting the Good Business Festival. Now we'll probably be talking there a lot about environmental sustainability, which is something that matters a huge amount to us as two building-based theatres. So I think there are synergies across a lot of the different organisations to look at shared working, to look at embracing digital on an ongoing basis, and also all the learnings we've had, I guess, over COVID about representation, to make sure as organisations we're truly representing the wider population of Liverpool, and breaking the paradigm, trying different things to reach a bigger, broader, and more representative audience.
Yeah, I think that I totally agree with you, Mark. I think there's a lot of things that will. I mean, we just got a bit at the Good Business Festival yesterday about trying things differently and trying something you don't know about. And I think COVID will, it's been a dreadful pandemic, but I'm confident we can learn from it and do things differently. And so in the vein of that, Brian, what from a hotel as you look to go forward, I mean, in terms of how you look at how to run the hotel and that kind of thinking about how to maybe work across the city and working with events like LightNight or the Biennial, which I know you do anyway, but in terms of what are you kind of thinking about in the mix of that when you look at how to kind of reposition the Titanic and keep the momentum that you've built going?
The local market's important to us, Chris, so it's about linking up with everybody that we can. I know Chris and the team have got great relationships with the girls down at Beatles Story and various other places in town, so it's just getting that information out there, and anything that they can give us in terms of allowing us to put that forward to the guests that are in the hotel, then we're more than happy to do that. The interesting thing is, I think one of the key things the last year is people don't like to touchy-feely anymore. It's things are going very much more digital. So even things like newspapers in hotels, we have an app now where everybody can get a free newspaper from wherever they are in the world now, and they do that on their iPad. No longer are you delivering newspapers and bills, and so I quite like the last 12 months where the physical interaction has become less, even down to paying things, and cash and all the rest of it. That's been quite interesting. The other thing is doing stuff in a shoestring, because we've had to work completely differently, and we've actually managed to do some things that we just never thought we'd be able to do, or we would never think that way. So that's making us think differently as well in terms of how we service the business. It's, for us, it's about packages, and if we can build packages and drive them, because people like to buy off the shelf, and we see it. We've got a few packages out there at the moment, and they're flying, and that's driving covers through our restaurant. And like you said before, there's a pent-up demand there, so we can see the bookings coming in for the restaurant over and above what our residential packages and residents have. So it's busy.
So, which is great. It's great to hear, Brian. Great to hear.
Yeah. Can't wait to open.
Can't wait to open. Well, you can all invite us down there. We'll all pop in for a cocktail or two.
You're all welcome, everybody.
Good. That's it. There, Bill. There's another one to fill your sabbatical you're going to be taking. So, Mary, just a very quick one for you before I hand back to Bill on that subject, in terms of what you're learning around, or what your thinking is around that collaboration, the use of digital technology, to the things that will stay with you beyond the pandemic.
Yeah. For us, we've Beatles Story has been working, and we have the big Beatles industry group. So for us, when we go abroad and we're selling the city, it's not just Beatles Story we are selling. We have packages with, like they say, the Titanic Hotel and other attractions. And we also do mention what events are going on in the city, because people are just not visiting Liverpool for Beatles Story, they're visiting it because of the wider offering. So for us, it's our marketing Di is amazing. She's in very many groups around the city, and she's always looking for opportunities digitally to collaborate and to sell, and we'll continue doing that, and hopefully we can grow and learn from this and keep pushing that forward, and we'll see the benefits coming back online in 6 to 12 months, I hope.
Great stuff. Okay, so I'm thanking my panelists there. Great conversation building on the first one. Bill, I'll hand back to you, but I think our kind of overarching destination campaign, which will launch in May, is under the thematic of get away to it all. And I think from the representation we've had today, the conversations we've had today, Liverpool is very symbiotic in terms of the fact of we do have it all. We just need to tell everybody. So back to you, Bill. Who's on mute?
I said to somebody yesterday that they were on mute. One thing we hadn't heard in the event yesterday, and she said to me, "What?" So I said, "You're on mute." Yeah, and it's great to have that second panel and to really start thinking about how we get those other attractions and events and hotels and all the city's ecosystem up and running. It has been a difficult period. I was just reflecting when you were talking then. I actually, in the last 15 months, haven't stayed anywhere else. I haven't stayed in a hotel in the last 15 months. So it probably says enough about that sort of the pent-up demand that is there. We had our bid board meeting this morning, and the figures around footfall and sales of retail reopening are very encouraging. Sales, particularly in retail, is very high. Whether that's everybody wants to actually get the clothes ready for the events that are happening this summer, let's hope that's the case. Just to answer live, one of the final questions from Ruth concerning about the numbers of young people that have been furloughed and who will return to their roles. Obviously, part of the work at Elven is looking at skills and employment, and we know that young people have been significantly impacted and disproportionately impacted by unemployment. So part of our work in Elven is to actually understand the real demographics behind that. We of course, what we want is our industry and the whole of the visitor sector to come back to life and to come back fully, and we're hearing that today. So it's key that we do that, but it's also mindful that we have to remember that there are numbers of people who are currently unemployed and are and may even increase as furlough comes to an end. So part of the ongoing work of LVEN will be just that. But as always, our hours come to a close. So thank you all for your participation today. Thank you for our panel, our 15th webinar. We are actually talking about having a physical webinar. So we'll forget about that, and we'll forget about the webinar aspect of it and just meet physically, hopefully not too far in the future. But before that, our next webinar will be at the end of May. So watch out for the topics for that. Please do join us. But please, before that, make sure you get out, book your tickets for those events and attractions that are open, and get out to LightNight. And we'll talk about that when we meet next at the end of May. So thank you all, as always. Have a great day and a great week. Bye now.